Close your eyes now. Let the soft rain begin to fall outside your window, gentle, steady, like the first drops that ever touched Allie's skin on that forgotten summer evening long ago. Breathe in slowly with me and out. Good. Feel the cool air brushing your cheeks as the room grows quieter, heavier, safer. Tonight, I'm going to sit right here beside you, my voice barely above the rain, and read to you from a worn leather notebook filled with love that refused to die. Every page we turn together will smell faintly of salt air and old paper. Every whisper will carry the scent of wet cedar and magnolia blossoms. This is the story of Noah and Allie, a story that has waited patiently for you to drift close enough to hear it properly. Imagine the rain growing a little stronger now, tapping on the roof like soft fingers asking you to relax deeper, deeper. That's it. Let your shoulders melt into the pillow. Somewhere far away, an old man with kind eyes is opening the very same notebook in a quiet nursing home room, the same way I'm opening it for you tonight. He reads to a woman who sometimes remembers and sometimes doesn't, but the words always find her heart anyway. And tonight, they will find yours. You're safe here. Nothing can rush us. We have all the time in the world, and the rain is promising to stay with us until morning. Feel the weight of the blanket hugging you the way Noah once wished he could hug Allie every single night they were apart. Listen, do you hear that faint creak? That's the rocking chair in the corner moving by itself. Or maybe it's just the house settling into the story with us. Shh, no need to open your eyes. Just let my voice carry you. Have you ever felt a love so strong that it scared you a little? The kind that makes your chest ache in the sweetest way when you remember a certain smile? Hold that feeling gently in your heart tonight, because that's exactly what Noah carried for Allie across oceans and years and silence. He carried it the way the sea carries moonlight, never letting it sink, never letting it fade. Here's a little secret before we begin. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, the two souls you'll soon meet on screen in your dreams, actually couldn't stand each other at first during filming. They argued so fiercely that the director had to lock them in a room until they talked it out. And when they finally did, something shifted, something real bloomed between takes, just like it did between Noah and Allie under real summer rain. Funny how life sometimes copies art before art even finishes telling the story, isn't it? Let the rain wash away any tension left in your body now. From the top of your head, down your forehead, softening your eyes, relaxing your jaw, let it drip slowly down your neck, your arms, your fingertips. Good. You're doing perfectly. Every breath you take is slower than the last, and every word I whisper is another step deeper into the Carolina coast of 1940, where a boy with calloused hands and a heart too big for his chest is about to meet a girl who will change the shape of his entire life. Do you remember the first time someone looked at you like you were the only person in the entire world? Try to picture that gaze tonight. Hold it softly. Noah is about to feel it for the very first time at a bustling carnival, under strings of warm bulbs and the smell of cotton candy and sawdust. And when it happens, when Allie's laughing green eyes lock onto his, the music will fade, and the crowd will disappear, and the only thing left will be the sound of two hearts deciding, without words, that they already belong to each other. We're going to live inside every second of that moment soon. We'll taste the salt on their lips after they kiss in the rain. We'll feel the rough wood of the old house Noah rebuilds plank by plank with hope in every nail. will cry quiet tears when Allie's mother hides 365 letters, one for every day they were apart, and will hold our breath when an old man with shaking hands reads the final page to the love of his life, praying that tonight, just tonight, she'll remember who he is. But first, let the rain settle into a perfect rhythm against the window. In and out, in and out, matching your breathing now. That's it. You're almost floating. The notebook is open in my lap. Its pages soft and slightly wavy from years of ocean air. My finger is resting on the very first line, waiting for you to be completely ready. Are you comfortable? Is there anything left in your mind that still feels heavy? If there is, give it to the rain. Let each drop carry it away until there's nothing left but warmth and anticipation. When you're ready, I'll begin reading the first words Noah ever wrote about the girl who taught him that miracles are real. Just nod if you're ready, or simply breathe a little deeper. Yes, I feel it. The story is ready too. The year is 1940, and the little town of Seabrook, North Carolina is breathing warm night air thick with honeysuckle and the distant rumble of carnival music. Let the rain outside soften now into the gentler patter of a summer evening, the kind that makes the lights blur and the world feel wrapped in gauze. Somewhere down a dusty road lined with live oaks dripping Spanish moss, 17-year-old Noah Calhoun is walking with his best friend Finn, both of them barefoot, shirts unbuttoned, laughing about nothing and everything. You can almost smell the sawdust under their feet, the sweet grease of funnel cakes drifting on the breeze. Noah's skin is tanned deep from working the lumber yard all day, his hands rough from hauling pine logs, but his eyes, those hazel eyes that will one day look ancient with love, are bright and restless tonight. They reach the bumper cars first, the metallic clack-clack of the poles against the ceiling grid mixing with teenage shouts. Noah leans against the railing, chewing on a piece of straw, watching the pretty girls in their pastel dresses spin past. And then, the world tilts. There, in a pale blue dress the color of robin's eggs, hair pinned up with just a few curls escaping, stands Allison Nelson, Allie, laughing with her friends, city rich and summer free. Her laugh like wind chimes in a storm about to happen. When she turns, the carnival lights catch the green in her eyes and throw tiny gold flecks across Noah's chest. He forgets how to breathe for a full 3 heartbeats. Have you ever had a single-second stretch so long that it changes the rest of your life? Hold that feeling. Noah is living it right now. Finn elbows him, grinning, but Noah is already moving, drawn forward the way tide is drawn to moon. He steps right into her path, blocking the way with that crooked smile that will haunt Allie for decades. "You gonna bump, or you just gonna stand there looking pretty?" he asks, voice low and easy, Carolina drawl wrapping around every syllable like warm honey. Allie lifts an eyebrow, amused, already sensing danger in the best possible way. She tells him her name is Allie, and when she says it, the syllables taste like the first bite of peach on a July afternoon. Sweet, surprising, impossible to forget. They ride the Ferris wheel together because Noah dares her, and Allie has never backed down from a dare in her life. Up they go, the seats swaying gently, the whole carnival shrinking beneath them until it's just colored lights and distant music and the smell of her perfume, something expensive with gardenia notes, mixing with the salt of his skin. At the very top, the wheel stops. Tradition says you have to kiss when it stops at the top. Noah doesn't move at first. He just looks at her, really looks, memorizing the tiny freckle just left of her nose, the way her lower lip is slightly fuller. the way her pulse flutters at the base of her throat. Then he leans in, slow enough for her to stop him if she wants to. She doesn't. Their first kiss tastes like spun sugar and nervous electricity, and when they pull apart, both of them are smiling like they've just discovered a secret the rest of the world isn't ready for. Over the next weeks, the summer becomes a watercolor painting of stolen moments. They lie on their backs in the grass at night counting shooting stars, Noah tracing constellations on her bare arm with one careful finger. He takes her out on the canoe at midnight to watch the crabs scuttle along the muddy bottom, their tiny bioluminescent trails glowing like underwater stars. She laughs so hard she nearly tips them both into the marsh when a crab latches onto Noah's toe. They dance barefoot on the pier while a scratchy record plays Glenn Miller from someone's open window, her dress swirling around both their legs, his hands resting just above the curve of her waist like he's afraid she might vanish if he holds too tight. Have you ever touched someone and felt your entire future in the warmth of their skin? That's what Noah feels every time his palm slides against Allie's. But summer has edges, and Allie's parents have plans. Duke University, a proper fiancé from a good family. A life that smells like old money and garden parties instead of sawdust and river water. When Allie's mother finds them kissing behind the lumberyard, her face goes white with fury. "He's trash, Allison," she hisses, and the word lands between them like a slammed door. The night before Allie is due to leave, they drive out to the old abandoned house on the edge of town, the one with the wraparound porch and the blue shutters hanging crooked. Moonlight spills through broken windows, painting silver across dusty floors. Noah tells her he's going to buy it one day, fix it up, raise a family in it. Allie laughs at first, then realizes he's serious. They make love for the first time on a blanket spread over the wide plank pine, the air thick with dust motes, and the scent of jasmine growing wild through the cracked walls. Every touch is slow, reverent, terrified of tomorrow. When it's over, they lie tangled together listening to cicadas and each other's heartbeats, promising things neither of them knows how to keep. The next morning, Allie is gone. No note, no goodbye, just an empty space beside him on the porch steps where she sat the night before braiding sweetgrass into his hair. Noah stands there until the sun burns the dew off the grass, feeling something inside him crack open and never quite close again. Years pass like pages ripped out of a calendar. World War II pulls Noah across the ocean. He writes her letter after letter, 365 in total, pouring every ounce of missing her onto thin blue paper that smells like gunpowder and homesickness. Allie, back in the polished world of debutante balls and pearl necklaces, waits for letters that never come. Her mother intercepts every single one, hiding them in a hat box at the top of the closet because he will only hold you back, darling. Allie volunteers as a nurse's aide, bandaging soldiers who remind her too much of a boy with calloused hands and a crooked smile. She meets Lon Hammond Jr., tall, handsome, kind, safe, and when he proposes under a magnolia tree heavy with blossom, she says yes because her heart has grown quiet and she no longer knows how to wait. Trivia whispered softly now. The real house that inspired Nicholas Sparks to write the novel still stands today on Boone Hall Plantation. When Ryan Gosling first saw it, he said it felt like the house was waiting for someone to come back and love it properly, almost exactly what Noah says in the film. Sometimes places remember the stories they're meant to hold. Close your eyes tighter now and feel the rain pick up again outside, washing 1946 clean, so we can step gently into the next chapter. Noah is coming home soon, scarred but alive, carrying a photograph of Allie that's creased down the middle from being touched too many times. And somewhere, in a city far away, Allie is trying on wedding dresses that feel too heavy, like trying to wear someone else's future. Let your breathing slow, matching the rhythm of waves we'll soon hear. The worst part is over, and the best part is waiting just on the other side of the storm. Let the rain deepen now, steady and warm, the way it feels when you know the storm has decided to stay all night and keep you safe inside. Breathe in the scent of wet cedar and distant magnolia, the same perfume that clings to the old house Noah has just bought, with every penny he saved from the war, and every scrap of hope left in his chest. It is 1946, and the abandoned mansion at the end of the dirt road looks even more tired than he does. Windows blind with ivy, roof sagging like an old man's shoulders, porch boards warped and singing under his boots. But when he steps through the front door, and the dusty air wraps around him, he smiles for the first time in years. He hears Allie's laugh echoing in the empty rooms the way seashells hold the ocean long after the tide has gone. This house remembers her barefoot dance across its heart pine floors, remembers the way moonlight once painted silver across her bare back. And Noah decides right then that if he can make this house whole again, maybe the universe will finally give her back to him. He works from sunrise until the stars come out, shirtless and sunburned, sweat cutting pale lines through the sawdust on his skin. The sound of hammer on nail becomes a heartbeat. Allie, Allie, Allie. Each board he planes smooth is a letter he never got to send. Each coat of white paint he rolls across the peeling clapboards is a promise whispered into the wind. I'm still here. I never left. When the neighbors drive past and shake their heads at the crazy veteran trying to resurrect a ruin, Noah just smiles and keeps working. He plants azaleas along the walk, the exact shade of the dress she wore the night they first kissed on the Ferris wheel. He builds the wide front steps strong enough for children who haven't been born yet to run down on Christmas morning. And every evening when the light turns golden and soft, he sits on the newly finished porch with a beer sweating in his hand and watches the river slide by, waiting for a miracle he has no right to expect. Across the state, in a city of marble floors and crystal chandeliers, Allie is trying very hard to be happy. Lon is everything a mother dreams of: polite, successful, gentle. When he kisses her cheek, it is pleasant the way vanilla ice cream is pleasant, no danger of burning your tongue. But sometimes, when she's alone in the dressing room of the bridal salon, she catches her own eyes in the mirror and sees a stranger wearing a veil that feels like a net. Have you ever smiled on the outside while something inside you was quietly screaming? Allie knows that feeling the way she knows the shape of her own hands. She keeps a small watercolor box in her drawer and paints in secret, wild strokes of blue and green that look nothing like the tidy still lifes her fiancé admires. The colors always end up looking like the marsh at twilight, like the exact shade of Noah's eyes when he used to say her name like a prayer. One afternoon, while Lon is away on business, Allie drives to Seabrook to deliver donation baskets for the hospital auxiliary. The rain starts the moment she crosses the county line, soft at first, then harder, drumming on the roof of her little roadster until the windshield blurs. She almost misses the newspaper stand, almost keeps driving, but the headline catches her like a hook through the heart. Local man restores historic home. And there, Beneath the fold is a black and white photograph of Noah standing on the porch of the White House with the blue shutters, paint in his hair, smiling the same crooked smile that still visits her dreams. Her hand starts shaking so badly she has to pull over. The rain is pouring now, warm summer sheets of it drumming on the car roof like it's trying to wake her up. She sits there for a long time, knuckles white on the steering wheel, tasting salt that has nothing to do with the sea. Trivia, whispered very softly so it doesn't startle you. The scene you're about to feel in your bones was shot in exactly 6 minutes of real rain before the storm ended. Ryan and Rachel were soaked to the skin, teeth chattering, but the director kept the cameras rolling because something magical was happening between them that no amount of movie rain could fake. When Rachel lifted her face to the sky and laughed through the water streaming down her cheeks, it wasn't acting, it was remembering. She drives to the house without deciding to. The tires crunch on fresh gravel. The azaleas are blooming like they've been waiting for her. Noah is on the ladder, painting the last crooked shutter, the exact shade of Robin's egg she once wore, when he turns and sees her standing there in the rain. Paint roller still in his hand, time folds in on itself. 10 years disappear in the space of one heartbeat. He climbs down slowly, afraid she'll vanish if he moves too fast. Water streams off both of them, plastering his shirt to his chest, turning her yellow dress almost transparent. Neither of them speaks at first. They just look, drinking each other in the way desert travelers drink water, afraid to blink in case it's a mirage. Then Allie whispers, "You kept the house." And her voice cracks on the last word like ice breaking on a pond in early spring. Noah steps closer until the rain is falling on both of them from the same gutter. "I kept everything," he says, voice rough with disuse and wonder. And then they're kissing. Desperate, hungry, 10 years of loneliness pouring out between their mouths. The paint roller falls forgotten into the mud. His hands slide into her wet hair exactly the way they did the first time. Fingers threading through the pins until it all tumbles down her back in dark ropes. She tastes salt and turpentine, and Noah, always Noah. When they finally pull apart, foreheads still touching, breathing each other's air, she starts to cry. Soft, almost soundless tears that mix with the rain, so he can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Have you ever been kissed like you were the answer to a question someone had been asking their whole life? Hold that feeling close tonight. Let it warm the places inside you that sometimes feel cold. They go inside because the storm is turning angry now, thunder rolling in like distant artillery. The house smells of fresh paint and sawdust and possibility. Noah lights the fireplace with hands that won't stop shaking. Allie stands in the middle of the empty living room, dripping on the newly sanded floor, looking suddenly very young and very lost. He wraps a blanket around her shoulders, the same rough army blanket he used to keep in his Jeep during the war, and the wool still smells faintly of Europe and gun oil and nights he thought he'd never come home. She clutches it tight and asks the question she's been carrying for 7 years. Why didn't you write? The silence that follows is heavier than any thunder. Noah crosses to the mantel and pulls down a wooden box she doesn't recognize. Inside are hundreds of letters, edges soft from being handled too many times, tied with the same faded blue ribbon she once wore in her hair. 365 letters. One for every day they were apart. He wrote them all, mailed them all, and never got a single reply because her mother stole every one. When Allie realizes what she's holding, her knees give out. She sinks to the floor right there in front of the fire, letters spilling across the pine boards like blue-winged birds finally set free. Outside, the rain keeps falling, washing the world clean the way only summer storms can. Inside, two people who were almost lost to each other are learning how to breathe again. The fire settles into a low, steady glow, casting long amber shadows across the freshly painted walls, while the rain keeps its patient rhythm on the tin roof above us. Noah kneels beside Allie on the wide plank floor, both of them surrounded by the scattered letters that smell of old paper and salt and longing. She is trembling so hard the blanket slips from her shoulders, and he gently tucks it back around her the way you would tuck a child into bed after a nightmare. One by one she opens them, fingers careful, reverent, almost afraid the ink will disappear the moment she touches it. The first letter is dated the day after she left Seabrook. My dearest Allie, I woke up reaching for you, and the emptiness almost swallowed me whole. The river looked wrong without your reflection in it. Her breath catches on every sentence. Some letters are only a few lines long, written on scraps of paper torn from ration books during the war. Others stretch for pages, describing foxholes in Italy, the way moonlight on snow reminded him of her skin, the way he pressed a pressed violet from their last night together between the pages until it crumbled to dust. She reads until her voice gives out, until the tears have made pale tracks through the dust on her cheeks. Have you ever held proof that someone loved you so fiercely that time and distance and war couldn't touch it? Let that proof settle warm against your heart tonight. Let it remind you that some things are built to last even when everything else falls apart. When the last letter is read, the room is quiet, except for the soft pop of burning pine and the endless hush of rain. Allie looks up at Noah, eyes shining like sea glass after a storm. I thought you forgot me, she whispers. He cups her face in both hands, thumbs brushing away tears the way he once brushed sawdust from her hair. Forgetting you would be like forgetting how to breathe, he says, and then he kisses her again, slower this time, tasting every year they lost. They make love on the blanket in front of the fire, the way they did the first time in this very house, only now there is no fear of tomorrow hanging over them like a guillotine. There is only the crackle of wood, the drum of rain, the soft hitch of her breath when his mouth finds the hollow beneath her ear, the way her fingers dig into his shoulders like she's anchoring herself to the earth. Every touch is an apology, and a promise and a thank you all at once. When it's over, they stay tangled together, skin cooling, hearts racing, listening to the storm begin to ease outside. Morning arrives, pale and shy, the way dawn does after a night of confession. Sunlight filters through the clean windows and paints gold across the floorboards. Noah makes coffee on a camp stove because the kitchen isn't finished yet, and they drink it black and scalding from the same tin mug, passing it back and forth like teenagers sharing a stolen cigarette. Allie walks through every room barefoot, trailing her fingers over the smooth new banister he carved by hand, the window seats he built wide enough for two people to read together on rainy afternoons. She stands on the back porch and looks out at the river sliding slow and silver past the cypress knees, and for the first time in years she feels like she's exactly where she belongs. Trivia, breathed almost inaudibly. The canoe scene you're about to drift into was shot at Cypress Gardens in South Carolina, and the white swans that glide past them were completely real. The crew fed them crackers off camera so they would stay close, but the moment Rachel reached out and one swan gently touched its beak to her fingers, everyone on set stopped breathing. Even the birds knew this love was sacred. They spend the day rediscovering each other, the way you rediscover a favorite song after years of silence. He rows her out to the middle of the creek in the battered old canoe, the same one they nearly capsized, laughing over crabs all those summers ago. The water is mirror still until the first fat drops of a new storm kiss the surface. Within minutes the sky opens again, harder than before, turning the world into watercolor. Allie stands up in the boat, arms wide, face tilted to the rain, laughing the way she did when she was 17, and fearless. Noah watches her soaked to the bone, hair plastered to her cheeks, dress clinging like a second skin, and realizes he has never loved her more than in this exact moment. She shouts over the roar of the rain, "It's still not over!" And he answers by pulling her down into his lap and kissing her until neither of them can tell where the rain ends and their tears begin. Back at the house, they peel off wet clothes in front of the fire, leaving puddles on the floor that will warp the fresh boards, and neither of them cares. They make love again, slower, savoring every inch of skin they thought they'd never touch again. She traces the new scar along his ribs from shrapnel and anzio, kisses the place where his left shoulder aches when storms come. He memorizes the tiny laugh lines beginning at the corners of her eyes, the way her breath catches when he whispers her name against the inside of her wrist. Time loses all meaning. There is only the scent of wet cotton and wood smoke, the taste of rain on each other's lips, the soft creak of the house settling around them like an old friend giving approval. Have you ever been held so completely that the rest of the world simply ceased to exist? Close your eyes and let Noah hold you that way now, even if only in memory. Let his arms remind you that some homes are made of heartbeats instead of walls. But storms end, and real life waits just beyond the porch steps. Lon's car appears one afternoon, sleek and black and expensive, crunching up the gravel like Judgment Day arriving early. Allie stands on the porch in one of Noah's faded work shirts, hair still damp from the shower they took together an hour ago, watching the man she promised to marry climb out looking confused and heartbroken. Lon is kind even in his pain. He doesn't yell, doesn't accuse. He simply asks her to choose. And for the first time, Allie realizes the choice was made the moment she saw Noah's photograph in the newspaper, maybe even the moment she first laughed at his terrible jokes on that Ferris wheel a lifetime ago. She drives away with Lon that evening. Back to the city, back to the wedding plans and the pearl necklace and the life that suddenly feels like a dress 2 sizes too small. Noah watches the taillights disappear and does not chase her. He has learned the hard way that love cannot be forced, only offered. He goes back to work on the house, painting the final trim, planting the last rose bush, trusting that if it's meant to be, the river will bring her home again. Days stretch into weeks. Allie tries to be the perfect fiancé. She smiles at garden parties, lets her mother pin fabric samples to her waist, nods when Lon talks about honeymoon plans in Bermuda. But every night she dreams of white houses and blue shutters and a man who wrote her name 365 times on paper that never reached her. One morning she wakes up and cannot breathe inside the beautiful cage her life has become. She leaves a note for Lon. Simple, honest, devastating, and drives south through another summer storm, windshield wipers barely keeping up with the rain and her tears. When she reaches the house, Noah is sitting on the porch steps in the downpour, exactly where she left him weeks ago, as if he hasn't moved an inch. The second she steps out of the car, he is running, barefoot, shirtless, meeting her halfway across the wet grass. They collide like thunder, kissing in the rain one final time before the credits of their younger selves roll. She tells him she's staying. He tells her the house has always been hers. And somewhere inside, the walls sigh with relief, because the story they were built to hold has finally come home. Let the rain ease now, just a little. Let it become the soft sound of two people breathing in perfect sync under a shared blanket while the rest of the world waits politely outside. Let the rain thin to a whisper now, the gentlest veil of mist drifting across the nursing home window as dawn tries to decide whether to arrive. Inside the quiet room with pale green walls and the faint smell of antiseptic trying to hide beneath lavender sachets, an old man with snow-white hair and the same crooked smile sits in a wooden rocking chair that creaks like an old friend. His hands, once calloused from lumber and war and rebuilding a house plank by plank, now tremble slightly as he opens the worn leather notebook on his lap. The cover is soft as butter from decades of being held too tightly. The pages inside are wavy from ocean air and tears and the steam of too many cups of tea shared over midnight readings. He adjusts his glasses, clears his throat the way he has every single day for years, and begins in the softest voice you've ever heard. This is the story of Noah and Allie, a story about a boy who loved a girl so completely that even time couldn't steal her from him. Across from him, in the narrow bed with rails on both sides, lies a beautiful old woman whose silver hair spills across the pillow like moonlight on water. Her name is Allie, though most days she doesn't remember that. Her green eyes are sometimes bright and sharp, sometimes clouded like sea glass after too many tides. Today they are clouded. She stares at the ceiling as if it holds answers she used to know by heart. But when Noah's voice begins, something shifts inside her the way the first note of a lullaby shifts a restless child. Her breathing slows. Her fingers stop their endless search across the blanket. And for a little while, she is 17 again, standing under carnival lights with a boy who smells like pine and promise. Have you ever watched someone you love disappear in slow motion, piece by piece, until the only place they still live whole is inside a story? Let that ache settle gently in your chest tonight. Let it teach you how precious every clear moment truly is. Noah reads the way he always does. Slowly, carefully, tasting every memory like communion wine. He tells her about the summer they fell in love, about the house he rebuilt with her name in every nail, about the 365 letters, about the rain that brought her back to him twice. When he reaches the part where she chooses him on the porch steps in the storm, tears slip silently down the deep lines of his cheeks. Allie's eyes flicker. Something stirs behind them, a candle trying to remember fire. She lifts one frail hand toward him, palm up, the same way she did the first time he asked her to dance. He takes it immediately, pressing her cool fingers to his lips, the way he has 10,000 times before. "It's me, Allie," he whispers. "It's Noah. I'm right here, darling. I never left." And then, miracle of miracles, the candle catches. Recognition floods her face like sunrise over water. "Noah," she breathes, voice paper, thin but absolutely certain. "My Noah?" For 5 perfect minutes the disease loses its grip. She remembers everything. The taste of his mouth the first time they kissed on the Ferris wheel. The sound of the rain on the tin roof the night they made love in front of the fire. The exact weight of his hand in hers when she chose him forever. They talk in whispers, laughing softly at private jokes no one else in the world would understand. She touches the deep crease between his brows and tells him he still looks handsome when he smiles. He tells her she is still the most beautiful girl he has ever seen. They are young again, if only for a moment. The nurses find them later that night, asleep in the narrow bed, arms wrapped tightly around each other exactly the way they were the very first morning after she came back to him. The doctor says it's impossible, that Alzheimer's patients don't wake up and remember, and then simply drift away holding the love of their life. But Noah and Allie have never cared much for impossible. Their hearts, tired from carrying so much love for so long, simply decide that this is enough. The monitors slow, and then stop together in perfect unison, the way they always did everything else. Trivia, barely louder than breathing. James Garner, who plays old Noah, cried real tears every single time he read the final scene to Gina Rowlands. And Gina, beautiful, heartbreaking Gina, was actually playing a version of her own mother, who suffered from Alzheimer's in real life. The director, her son Nick Cassavetes, said the last day of filming felt less like making a movie and more like saying goodbye to his grandmother all over again. Sometimes the universe hands you truth so pure that even the camera forgets it's supposed to pretend. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that the thought of leaving them behind feels like tearing your own soul in half? That is the love Noah and Allie carried across 80 years and 2 lifetimes. That is the love that finally set them both free. In the quiet after the monitors go silent, the rain that has followed them from 1940 all the way to this gentle morning begins to ease. Sunlight slips through the curtains and paints soft gold across their joined hands. Somewhere, a pair of white swans glides across a mirror-still lake. Somewhere, a carnival is just opening its gates under strings of colored bulbs. Somewhere, a boy with calloused hands and a crooked smile is waiting on a Ferris wheel for a girl in a robin's egg blue dress who is about to change his entire life. And somewhere, very close to your ear, an old leather notebook closes for the very last time. Let the last drops of rain slide down the window now, slow and silver, like the final tears of a love that no longer needs to cry. The room around you is perfectly still, only the soft hush of your own breathing and the faint memory of pages turning somewhere far away. Noah and Allie have slipped quietly out of their bodies, the way children slip out of shoes at the end of a long summer day, barefoot, laughing, running towards something bright we can't quite see yet. They are together. They are young again. They are dancing somewhere under warm carnival lights while Glenn Miller plays from an open window and the air smells of sawdust and gardenias and promise. Feel the blanket settle a little heavier across your shoulders, warm from your own heartbeat. Let every muscle that still remembers how to hold tension simply forget. From the crown of your head, all the way down to the tips of your toes, let softness pour in the way moonlight once poured through the broken windows of an old house waiting to be loved again. You did it. You stayed with them until the very last page. You carried their story gently in your chest, the same way Noah carried Allie across decades and oceans, and the slow, cruel forgetting. Thank you for trusting me with your sleep tonight. Here is one final quiet trivia whispered only for you. Nicholas Sparks wrote the entire novel in just 6 months after seeing that real White House, with blue shutters in South Carolina. He said the moment he stepped onto the porch, he heard two voices, one laughing, one promising forever, even though the house had stood empty for years. Some stories, he said, already exist in the walls and only need someone brave enough to write them down. And now, before I close the notebook completely, let me ask you the gentlest questions to carry into your dreams. Have you ever loved someone so much that leaving them, even for a night of sleep, feels like a small betrayal? Have you ever been loved back with the kind of patience that rebuilds entire houses just on the chance you might walk through the door again one day? Is there a letter you never sent? A phone call you never made? A hand you never quite reached for? If there is, let Noah and Allie hold that regret for you tonight. Let them fold it into one of their 365 letters and tuck it safely between pages that will never yellow or fade. You are allowed to let go now. You are allowed to believe that the purest loves do not end. They simply change shape the way water changes into mist, into rain, into morning dew on azalea petals. Somewhere, right this moment, two souls are kissing under an endless summer sky, while the Ferris wheel turns slowly above them and the stars keep every promise ever made. Breathe in, slowly, deeply, and breathe out every single thing that no longer belongs to you. Good. Again, in and out. Perfect. The notebook is closing now. The leather cover makes the softest sound as it meets itself, like two palms finally coming together after years of reaching. The rain has stopped completely. In its place is the quiet hush of a world that has decided to let you sleep. If you listen very carefully, you might still hear the faint creak of a rocking chair somewhere far away, or the gentle lap of water against an old canoe, or two voices whispering, "It still isn't over," into the dark. Drift now. Float. Fall. You are safe. You are loved beyond measure. You are home. Good night, sweet dreamer. See you in the rain.